now and only now. We're going to talk about way back then. Bill Barron, welcome to Cecil TV.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
It's great to be here at my age. It's great to be anywhere above the green. And I got to tell you, I was down in Port Deposit at Community Connecting Us this past Saturday, getting my bike fixed up. Brian from Community Connecting Us fixed my bike up so I could ride it.
That's great.
And it's been a long time coming, but it's a really cool place. And I met you inside.
That's right.
And you
it's part
talked
of
about this event. What
right,
event is it?
Right. So we are really excited to share that we have one of the most important visitors that ever came to Port Deposit over 200 years ago, and that would be General Lafayette himself. The General will be returning. The American Friends of Lafayette are bringing him back to help us celebrate the Bicentennial of that celebration right in Port Deposit.
Wow. So the Bicentennial, that's
200 years.
great. Right. I was thinking about that.
Okay. Right, and so he will come back to Port Deposit. He came out on what was known as the farewell tour. He was brought out by President James Monroe, and he brought him back because by 1824, this was almost 50 years after the American Revolution, very contentious time in American politics, and so he brought him back to kind of reignite the patriotism. So almost 50 years later, he's brought back in 1824 by President Monroe, and he brings him back to kind of reignite that patriotism, and that's what he does. And when he arrives here in New York in August of 1824, he's greeted like a rock star. I mean, he's bigger than the Beatles in the 60s when he came back. There are over 80,000 people that meet him at the docks to celebrate. And there's all kinds of parades, galas, and he literally was brought back for this tour. Originally was just going to be the 13 colonies, ends up being all 24 states of the country at that time. Because that was all we had. But basically he spends almost 13 months traveling, came through Cecil County and Harford counties basically twice. And on the second time around, he came and actually stopped in Port Deposit in Cecil County, and then was on his way to Baltimore when the residents of Harford Grace were waving him in from the boat, waved him in, and he celebrated with them for a few hours. So we are celebrating that on Tuesday, July 29th. It's historically accurate, and so the American Friends of Lafayette bring him to the Port Deposit Town Square. We will meet him with all kinds of celebratory festivities. We have a band. He'll be brought to the Diaz with a fife and drum corps will escort him, and there will be speeches from our local politicians. We'll have the reenactor himself, who comes dressed in 1824-25 period attire, will speak to the audience and tell us some of the differences that he sees from 200 years ago and today here in America. And he is wrapping up here in Maryland, and this may be your last opportunity to see him here in Maryland.
Well, I love Lafayette, and if it wasn't for the French in Lafayette, we may still be part of Britain.
Absolutely. Lafayette comes to America when he's 19 years old. This is 1777. He wants to fight with George Washington. He finds a father figure in George Washington, and really Washington is impressed with him because Lafayette comes, he wants to learn, and he also is going to pay his own way, which was important.
Right.
And so he does that and serves in the Battle of Brandywine, and actually goes to Virginia twice, once in search of Benedict Arnold, that traitor, and then secondly to the Battle of Yorktown in Yorktown, Virginia.
And he'll be speaking to the crowd in Port Deposit on the 29th. There's going to be 10 vendors there, right?
Right. We've got lots of vendors. We want everybody to come on down to celebrate with us. We have lots of vendors that are educational and informational. They will sell some things as well, but for the most part, it's educational, informational. We have a crafts activity for kids. You'll be able to do some coloring. We also have some crafts that they can make, a buzzsaw, which would be period appropriate for that time. And then he goes to the Gary House, where 200 years ago, Lafayette had stopped for refreshment. He is going to go to the Geary House, and there we're going to reenact the reunion of Achille Deaver. And Achille Deaver was the militiaman that when he comes over in 1781 and he's crossing the Susquehanna River, his scow strands on the rocks. They were at the Bald Friar Ferry, basically, and he was able to, the rest of the militiamen were able to walk across, but a big burly militiaman came up, put him on his back, and carried him across the rest of the way on the river. So 200 years ago, on July 29th, when Lafayette is at the Geary House, he is reunited with Achille Deaver, and we're going to have a reenactment of that. And then you can go to Lee's Landing and have lunch with Lafayette. Now, you'll have to pay for that, but all the other festivities are free. And when you have lunch with Lafayette, you'll be able to take pictures with him, toast him, and also hear from Lafayette. But when we send him off, we will send him off at about 3:30, so you're not going to want to miss that. We're going to have the Maryland Army National Guard Ensemble Band who will be playing, and we will have him picked up by boat on the Lee's Landing dock. And as he leaves for Baltimore, but he will be called in by the people of Havre de Grace, as he leaves, we are going to fire a cannon salute for Lafayette and his visiting here in Port Deposit. So we definitely want everybody to come out for this really fun event.
And it's during the day on the 29th.
It is. It's from 12 to 3:30, and so he arrives in the square at noon, and then he'll be at lunch from 2 to 3, and then at basically 3:15 to 3:30 he will actually leave by boat from the Lee's Landing dock.
Sounds like a winner all the way around. Thanks, Bill.
It's a lot of fun, and we want everybody to be there.
Yes.